Good morning. Welcome to Intro to Algebra. This is for Monday, April the 6th. Hope you had a good weekend. I hope you tuned in and you watched the internet service with Pastor this weekend and that you paid close attention. Make sure that you're watching Brother Ricky on Sunday afternoons as well for the Chicagoland teens. All right, we are on lesson 104. You did numbers 1 through 10 for homework. And now we're going to do 11 and so on. The more we get through, the better attention you pay in this video, the less homework I'm going to give. It's all going to depend on how well you score. Please make sure you keep these papers so that you can turn them in to Brother John the next time he comes around. Put them in a folder. Don't throw them away. Don't lose them. Okay? Let's begin. We're going to start with number 11. It says, if 3x plus 5 equals 22, then what is the value of 2x plus 1? First of all, which one equation can we solve? We can solve 3x plus 5 is 22. So let's write that down. 3x plus 5 equals 22. Now let's solve it. What can I get rid of? Get rid of this 5, because remember my goal is to get x by itself. It says to add 5, so we're going to subtract 5. This is going to cancel, leaving us 3x, 22 minus 5 is 17. Now, what are we going to do? Get rid of that 3x by dividing each side by 3. So, x equals 17/3. That is not my final answer, okay? Because my question is, what is the value of 2x plus 1? So write 2x plus 1. Now what do? Substitute, just like a formula. Write your formula, substitute the formula, solve the problem. Well, write the equation, substitute the equation, solve the equation. Okay, so we're going to have 2 over 1 times 17 over 3 plus 1. We're going to have to multiply first because that's our orders of operation. So I look at this and say there's nothing I can multiply. So, or nothing I can cancel. So I'm going to say 2 times 17. Well, 2 times 7 is 4 plus 1. 2 times 1 plus 1 is 3. And 1 times 3 is 3. Now I have this 1 over here. I have a choice. I either have to make this into a mixed number and add the 1. Or I have to change that to an improper fraction and add it. Okay, so if I'm going to make it an improper fraction, let's say that it's 3 over 3 then. Now my answer is 37 over 3. If I had wanted to make it, if I wanted to make it into a mixed number, I would have divided 34 by 3, and I would have gotten 11 1/3 and added my 1. Let's look at the next problem though. It says, use the distributive property to multiply. Remember the distributive property, we talked about this yesterday. It says take this number and multiply it by the first term. Take that number, multiply it by the second term. Take that number, multiply it by the third term, or however many terms there are. So let's look at this. We're going to 5x parentheses, or multiply, x squared minus 3 plus 3x. So what are we going to do? We're going to say 5x times 5 squared. Okay, so we're going to have 5x to the third power, okay? Because remember, the x has a 1, even though we don't write it, it's a 1. So 5 times 1 is 5, and x times x squared. What do? You add the exponents. Look at the next one. We have a negative 3, because our sign goes with our number. Negative 3 times 5x. Well, negative 3 times 5 is a negative 15. And the x is not multiplied with anything. Now we have a positive 3x, and we're going to multiply that by 5x. So 3x times 5x is 15x squared. Let's try this one. What if you have 2ab, and you want to multiply that with the distributive property of ab? Well, 2ab times a. Okay, we're going to keep the 2. What happens to the a? It becomes a square, but the b just stays the same. Then I'm going to say plus. I cannot do these at the same time, because if they were a multiplication, if it was ab with no sign, then I'd be multiplying both. There's an addition sign between them, so I have to do them as two separate terms. So now I'm going to say b and 2ab times b. So 2 times the exponent of 1 is 2. A, there's nothing to multiply it by. B times b gives me b squared. So my answer is 2a squared b plus 2ab squared. Okay, let's look at this one. What if you have 5a and you need to distribute that among the 7a plus 2b plus ab? Okay, so we're going to say 5a times 6a. Take your coefficients, 5 and 6, those are called coefficients, multiply them, and you get 30. What are you going to do with the 2a's? Make it a square. Now we have a positive and a positive, so my answer here is going to be positive. So I have 2b times 5a, sorry about that, guys. 5a times 2b. So 2 times 5 is 10, and AB, because neither one has anything to multiply by. Okay, now we have AB. What's the coefficient to AB? 1. Okay, so 1 times 5 is 5. A times A is A squared, and then there's only the one B. So our final answer is 30A squared plus AB plus 5A squared B. Okay, let's look at this next one up here at the top. We're not distributing here. In this case, we're going to add like terms. Okay, so our book teaches us the first thing we want to do is find the constants. Find the things that are the easiest, just straight up numbers. Okay, so we have 5, and that's it. Okay, so we have a 5. Okay, then let's do the x's. Okay, so we have 3x. If I look over here, I have plus 6x. So 3x plus 6x is plus 9x. Now we have y, so we have 3 y's, and that is all. So we're going to write plus 3y. Now let's look at this. We have an xy and an xy, so we're going to add them together. 2xy plus 5xy gives us 7xy. So our final answer, 5 plus 9x plus 3y plus 7xy. Let's look at this last one, okay? This last problem, I'm going to turn this camera a little bit so that I think you can see a little better. We have a squared plus 5a squared plus 3b squared plus 2a squared minus 5b squared. Okay, let's start with our a squares, okay? So we have a squared. What's the coefficient? 1. Okay, even though it's not written, it's kind of like the understood u. It's still 1. So we have 1 plus 5 gives us 6a squared. We've used those. I'm going to mark those off. 6a squared plus 2a squared gives us 8a squared. Now let's look at the b squares. 3b squared minus 5b squared. So we're going to have negative 2b squared. So our answer, we would read it as 8a squared minus 2b squared. All right? Let's look at one more problem over here on this side of the board. All right? Over here we have the problem, excuse me, 2x minus 6 equals 3x minus 4. I need to solve this problem. Remember, I need to get all of the x's on one side and all of the constants on the other. Constant's just another word for a number. So let's get rid of this minus 6x by doing what? Adding 6. I said 6x, just 6, okay? Okay, this is going to cancel, leaving us 2x equals 3x. And now we have 4 minus 4 plus 6. So what is my answer? It's a positive 2. It's plus 2. Now we need to move this 3x to the other side. So I need to get rid of it. I'm going to subtract, okay? So I'm going to subtract 3x on this side because I'm going to subtract 3x on this side because whatever I do to the left, I must do to the right, okay? So these 3 x's are going to cancel, leaving me 2 equals 2x minus 3x is a minus x. Now, since we don't want x to be negative, what do I need to do? I need to multiply both sides by -1. When I multiply both sides by -1, I did not change its value. I only changed its sign, okay? So we're going to say negative x times 1, and -1 is going to be an x. Positive 2 times -1 is going to be a -2. So my answer is x equals -2. Now, I would not have ended up with a negative x down here had I chose to move the 3x or the 2x to this side. And my number would have been backwards. My answer would have been in front of my x, but it wouldn't have been negative. Either method is fine, as long as when you get to the bottom, you don't have a negative x. You don't want to have a negative x if you just have x in a number. Okay? Today is just a review lesson. It's not anything new. It's just practicing what we've been doing for the last few days. Now, tonight for homework, you are going to do, we have done several of these together today. I'm going to give you a small assignment on of simplifying. I'm going to ask that you're going to do numbers 20 through 30. That's all. Just 20 through 30. I'm going to write that down here on my book. So you're going to do 20 through 30 on your homework online. Guys, remember, doing the homework to the best of your ability is going to help you as you take the tests and quizzes, but completing it on time gives you 100. If you turn it in late, if you don't turn it in when I go through and grade them, then you get your grade docked, okay? So make sure that you're turning them in on time. All right, I hope you have a great afternoon, and we'll talk about English in a little while.